Hi, I'm Melissa, and I'm going to be talking to you about the scenario that Carrie had presented. First off, when using punishment procedures, there should always be a reinforcement procedure along with it. In Ethical Guideline 4.05, it says punishment procedures should be used alongside with reinforcement procedures. So you should always be reinforcing those alternative behaviors rather than the target behaviors. That being said, with more information, we could have found out there was reinforcement being used with the child in our scenario. They could have been using reinforcement at the table, during the therapy session, with social praise, or a tangible or edible item that's highly reinforcing. In the actual scenario, the behavior plan was to put the child in timeout anytime he engaged in any property destruction. In this case, he ripped a paper. According to Ethical Guideline 4.1, this is a violation because it uses a more restrictive procedure, and Ethical Guideline 4.1 says least restrictive procedures should always be used. I think the behavior plan should be more specific, saying that certain behaviors in property destruction should be responded to with the timeout, but not necessarily other behaviors of property destruction. Ripping one single paper is different from trying to flip the table over, or swiping a bunch of cards or papers, or ripping a lot of papers. It just depends on the specific behavior, and we would need a little bit more information on the function of the behavior, how intense the behaviors were getting. Ripping a piece of paper, in my opinion, would not warrant a timeout. And in this timeout, the child became aggressive, and we don't know, we need more information, but this child may not have become aggressive if the timeout was not put into place. So those least restrictive procedures are important to implement before going into a more intrusive procedure. In regards to the restraint that was used for the physical aggression in the timeout room, I would definitely agree with that. That is ethical, even though that is a very restrictive procedure. Those procedures are necessary when behaviors become high intensity and are continuous and could result in the injury of oneself or others. In this instance, the child was engaging in physical aggression with the therapist. So for the therapist's safety, a restraint would need to be used. Like I said earlier, using those punishment procedures should always be followed by reinforcement procedures. Both should be in the treatment plan together. You should never use punishment alone.